Tonight on Twin.
Tony Stewart's going to take that team to victory lane.
Tony Stewart plays the fuel mileage game and wins big at Pocono.
That's incredible.
God, I'm proud of you guys.
We'll take you inside the cockpit with our radioactive segment. Will Kyle Busch trade in his driving career for a stint as a rock star? NASCAR goes to the Irish Hills of Michigan. But first, Mikey and the Biff get the final word on Pocono. Next on This Week in NASCAR. This Week in NASCAR is brought to you by Geico. Glad you're with us here at the Speed Studios in Charlotte, North Carolina. Steve Burns with our rock stars, Michael Waltrip and Greg Biffle. Glad you boys are here tonight.
Thank you.
Let's talk about MWR. You finished 17th.
I did.
David Rudiman, third. He's now 11th in points.
He is, and if you look, he's only a handful out of 6. So nice to see him marching up through the points.
And how about Marcos? Ambrose finished 6th. He's 18th in points. Mighty impressive.
He is a rock star. I mean, he just came to America and started racing cars a couple years ago. And we just finished our competition meeting, and he's so intense and so tuned into what he's doing. It's not surprising to see the success he has because he's so into his car and so just sounds like a computer just spinning off what all he was going through and what all he's doing. And I'll tell you how technical he got. He said, and then I hit the wall with like 40 to go, and it fixed all my problems.
Should have done that on lap 2.
That's not very good Australian. Can you do Australian?
I like it when he says, I'm all fizzed up, mate.
Yeah, and then he also says, he says a lot of things. But the cool thing was he just understands, he gets it, and I'm proud of him. Thankfully, he's my teammate. Both those guys are just the best teammates you could ever have. We hardly ever run into each other.
I didn't... As he looks at Greg Biffle. I didn't realize we were just coming on the air. You said that somebody hit you right on the first lap.
Yeah, I think Scott Speed got into me and messed up my rear fender, and then the caution flew for Denny. We came to pit road and fixed it, and then you can see there on the left rear, we've got a patch there. But from that point on, we were in the back, and great calls by Booty all day long. Had some brake problems, as was evident by my trouble getting in and out into the pits. And I was telling Greg, we got this knob, it has an F and an R, and you turn it toward the F, and you're supposed to get more front brakes, and either mine was labeled backwards or it wasn't hooked to nothing. Because watch, as soon as I touched them, they just lit up, and it shocked me.
You can see the smoke come right off the back tires as soon as you...
Immediately, and I mean, I've been to pit road a few times in my career, and generally I get on there okay.
Yeah, it's not your first rodeo.
No, I've been down this road before.
Yes, you have.
At least you weren't speeding.
Nope, and I couldn't have been because I spent about a minute in that first box getting all my stuff worked out.
About 10 miles an hour.
Greg, you're 7th in points. You finished 11th. One of those days it's a little deceiving because you had a better day than that, really.
Yeah, we really did. And, we had pretty good fuel mileage, but it was just an extraordinary circumstance where we weren't quite good enough to end up where we needed to be. But we ran on the top 3 all day long. The 3 and Ford Fusion car ran really good. Too loose, too tight, had a flat left rear one time, came in, it had 5 pounds too little of air in it. So pit stops were great. We got on and off pit road really good this weekend, and just 11th place. That's what happens when things get mixed up there at the end and some guys can stretch fuel mileage. So it wasn't a bad day.
A little bit later on, I'll ask you boys about the double file restarts, and we'll take a look at the highlights. Our man Chad Canals and Jimmy Johnson, they ran out of gas basically in the last turn. The 48 car finished 7th. Meanwhile, the headline goes to Tony Stewart. He wins for the first time in a points race. Of course, he won at the All-Star race. First time in a points race, his 34th career win, and he also has the points lead.
Yeah, that was an amazing win. We raced with Tony quite a bit of the day. Not in the beginning of the day, but the middle part of the day, he got up there and was real competitive. And he kept beating me on the restart. Then I'd beat him back for a while. He'd let me go. And Carl was the fastest. Then Tony obviously worked on their car and got their car going great. and was able to pull out there at the end.
Michael, also not to be overlooked, Ryan Newman also finished 5th. So
yeah, after battling back for some trouble, he spent a lot of time on pit road. I think he had a spark plug that messed up, and they got that fixed and came back and finished in the top 5. So, you know, you take Tony Stewart and Ryan Newman, they're 2 of the best drivers in the garage area. There's just no arguing that. Look at Tony's record, the championships he's won. Remember when Ryan came on the scene, just pole after pole? You got 2 great drivers. They were able to get into a team that is affiliated with Hendrick Motorsports and has Tony Stewart's influence on it. So it's not surprising to me to see those cats having that kind of success.
All right, a lot more coming up right after this. A great 3-way battle for the lead early on in Pocono. We'll take a look at all the highlights. Plus, hear Carl Edwards and Bob Osborne debate whether to gamble on fuel mileage or pit. That's coming up in Radioactive. Plus, we're going to preview Michigan. Who has more to worry about at Michigan? The crew chief, the driver, the engine builder, or the tire guy? We've got the answer.
This Week in NASCAR is presented by Geico, where 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Brought to you in part by AutoZone, because do-it-yourself doesn't mean you have to do it alone. Get in the zone, AutoZone. And by C-Max, performance you can feel.
Glad you're back with us. Time for us now to take a look at all the highlights from yesterday's 500-mile race at Pocono. And guys, right from the start, right from the green flag, Denny Hamlin breaks a fuel pump cable. He's going to come to rest on the backstretch. Tough break for him, a guy who won 2 races there.
That just had to be shocking. You know, he not only has won 2 races there, I guarantee he thought he was going to win this one. He had a great car during practice on Saturday, and then didn't even get to make a turn, Greg, and he was out of power.
I can't believe that. I was right behind him, and you know, there's a little bit of water left over on the racetrack right in those grooves, and it shot up on my windshield when he went through it, and I thought the engine blew up, you know, and it was water out of the radiator or something.
All right, there's our first double file restart. NASCAR implemented that rules change prior to this race. What did you guys think of the new rule? How did it work? Pros, cons? Did it add excitement?
Well, go ahead, Greg.
I was going to say, I ended up kind of on the bad side of it almost every time, so I'm looking forward to being on the good side. I mean, the bad side being I was on the inside lane, and a guy really wants to be in the outside lane there at Pocono in turn 1. I got kind of crowded down and couldn't get my momentum, and a lot of momentum there since we can't shift anymore. So I ended up, you know, losing a few spots on those restarts, but you know, there wasn't any lap cars up there to race with. So
it was to me, it was cool. You know, the fans got to see something that was unique and new. NASCAR was very smart by implementing it at Pocono, where they had a lot of time to work their way through the nuances that the rule is going to bring. It'll be a little bit tougher as time goes forward, getting out to Sears Point, maybe not so hard. But when you start looking at Bristol and Richmond and some of those tracks, they'll have some real tough times figuring out how to do things in a hurry. But I think everybody is into it. They understand why we're doing it. And, you know, you're going to be like Greg. Some Sundays you're going to get bad breaks, and other Sundays you're going to get good breaks. It's just racing. It doesn't matter who you are or where you are. Every now and then the shoe's going to be on the other foot.
My little vote, I saw, I started to say voice and vote at the same time. My little voice. I like 3-wide racing.
That little guy that sits on your shoulder?
Mm-hmm. I like the 3-wide racing late in the race. We saw things we hadn't seen there in the past at certain stages of the race.
Well, don't you just love Pocono? You never know what you're going to get. You know, the caution flag just seems to fall at the right point in time at times where you get a run to the checker. But all the drama of what was going on at the end of that race, to me, as a fan, makes it fun to see who's going to make it and who's not and how they're going to work through it.
Well, with that, let's move right ahead. Lap 36, our man Greg Biffle takes the lead from Jimmy Johnson, but Jimmy Johnson's going to come right back, Greg.
Yeah, he came down and, you know, pulled a little air off my door and tried to get a run back into that corner. And I was terrible on the bottom over here in 3 and 4. Really, the groove is where Jimmy was. You could see he gets a great run off the corner there. And meanwhile, you know, Carl Edwards is tracking us down as we're up there racing for position.
You could taste that lead.
Yeah, I can taste that lead.
You had the lead, you thought.
Right there, Carl decided at the last minute he was coming to the top. And I was like,
just hit him again.
I was like, I got on the brakes and let him in. So just for the record, you know, we gave Carl a little break there. We didn't touch, but
I think that's going to start building y'all's relationship back with things like that.
Yeah, but this was some really fun racing. Like Michael said, you know, Pocono puts on a great race.
All right, let's go ahead and move along. Dexter Bean in the 51 car. He is going to miss pit road, locks up the tires.
He didn't actually miss it. He just got the cone.
Well, he got in there late.
Yeah.
Kind of missed it.
Then Michael spins trying to get on pit road. And Michael, you talked about that a little bit earlier. And,
Yeah, you saw Dexter there. He had a lot of front brake. And if you see me here, as soon as I hit my brakes, boom, lights up the back tires. I had a lot of rear brake. And, I knew I had a lot of rear brake because when I was on the track, I was loose in. So I kept adjusting more and more front brake into it. But some reason it didn't adjust out exactly the way I was hoping.
Did you have a good pedal, or was the pedal real long? Or?
Tons of pedal. On Saturday, I had a really long pedal. I mean, the brakes just felt really weird. The guys got it all tuned up and fixed, and the pedal was perfect. And I don't know about you, but I felt like I used more brakes into turn one this trip than ever. Just getting the car kind of set and slow down and then roll off the brakes and go through the center. So I had good brakes, but they just weren't balanced quite right.
So you got it all scienced out, or?
Yeah, we had a meeting this morning. The Formula One, Formula One guru of ours.
You got it fixed.
I wish you could have heard him explaining it to me what I was doing.
And did
Push on the pedal wrong.
He said it looked like I used too much brake.
Hey, I was doing the, speaking of which, I did the practice show with Larry Mack and Jeff, and I said, you know why Michael Waltrip explained why they call it the tunnel turn?
Yeah, there's a tunnel in
There's
it.
a tunnel there.
That's right.
That's great analysis.
Well, we try to go all the way.
The next level.
Exactly.
The
Thank
next
you,
level.
Steve.
Leader Carl Edwards, green flag pit stops. Fuel man has some trouble. He slips, doesn't get all the fuel in there. He's where the slip is.
Man, isn't it funny just how athletic and how intense these stops are? Just one little slip,
Yeah, that's all it took was just that little bit. And the fuel goes in the car so fast that 1 or 2 seconds is a lot of gas.
I felt for you guys, and maybe more so Carl. He's finished up 2008 so strong, and everybody's been like, when are you going to win? When are you going to win? It looked like maybe he could have got a win. Yes, either one of you guys could have, and just sometimes it shows how difficult it is to win one of these silly things.
And I think it underscores the fact that a small mistake can become a big one.
Yeah, you really can. And
Or have big implications.
Right. And perfect example there is Pocono last year. I got caught half a mile an hour in the last pit box on a green flag stop, running second to Casey Kane, and ended up 15th. So, little tiny mistake can cost you. And
I've got that figured out. When your front tires get to the line and you go, the transponder's on the back. And so if you cut it really close, when you gas it, that little bit of difference. Probably a half a mile an hour, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You shouldn't have given that away.
Well,
now everybody knows.
I'm pretty sure if I know it, everybody else already does.
You're right. Here's your chance to win the picture of the week. I'm agreeing that you're probably right. Tony Stewart's at Pocono. Go to speedtv.com, click the show's tab at the top, go to the This Week in NASCAR page, and you'll see a link at the bottom to email us. Put 14 in the subject line, and you'll be entered to win. Be sure to put your shipping address in the email. The winner will be revealed next week. The Jimmy Johnson picture went to Raleigh, North Carolina. Well, coming up next, David Strem, you got the bad end of the wall. We'll look at some more highlights, plus a smashing win in Nashville for Kyle Busch. Is it okay to smash a trophy? We'll ask the boys about that. Could we see a surprise winner at Michigan this week? It's possible, and we'll tell you why. This Week in NASCAR will be right back. This Week in NASCAR is brought to you by Geico. Let's take a look at the point standings through 14 races. And guys, Tony Stewart has a 71-point lead now over Jeff Gordon. Jimmy Johnson is third.
Yeah, those guys are really hanging in there. And Jeff Gordon, he didn't run that well, but he got a good finish this weekend. He was off just a little bit, stayed on the lead lap, and came out a good finish, so saved himself some of the points there.
All right, let's move ahead in the highlights. We're going to go ahead to lap 103. Jimmy Johnson's going to come to pit road. We talked about mistakes. You're going to see right there, that's caution comes out. Pit road is actually closed, but he has a hard time seeing it.
Whoa.
Slides through his box.
Which ended up didn't matter because he had to go to the back anyway.
Correct, tail end of the field.
I heard Jimmy after the race talking about there should be a bigger window where that light is located and how you get on pit road.
Here's the Castrol. Smart move of the race. Goes to Matt Kenseth in the 17. He did not follow the 48 down pit road and stayed on track.
You see, and the 48, in all honesty, probably could have got back on the road. He just saw an opportunity there to get an advantage on the field by pitting. Now, Jimmy is the only one that can truly answer that. But what Jimmy was saying is there needs to be a light prior to the line instead of the light on the line. So when you see the light, you got a chance to miss the line.
Remember Kurt Busch at Watkins Glen.
Right.
Kurt Busch.
He went by to
was inside the barrels. So he was already in there, and he was like a foot from the line when the light changed. So he had no. He was trapped.
It would be like you driving down the road and the light turning yellow as you were going under it, and you get a ticket for that.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that, I think.
So it's just sort
maybe a little. Maybe there needs to be a yellow, red, yellow, green.
That's like right. Your buddy Ron Capps, like we're drag racing now.
How'd he do yesterday?
I don't know. I don't think he won. I watched the speed report. I don't think he won. All right, now Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Move along, Steve.
Move along. He gets into David Stremme, and David Stremme into the wall hard in the 12 car.
Wow.
Yeah.
On board, the 88 of Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Well, I think that was a combination of things. I don't believe I blame Dale Jr. for that. I think Stremme was kind of forced up by the car on the inside of him, and that turned him right in. Check this out. This was a good.
That's your boys. Did you talk about that in the competition
Yeah, that
meeting?
was fun in the competition meeting.
That was a great save by both those guys.
Yeah, and fortunately for Marcus, David said about 5 laps earlier he had done that to someone. So he said, "I understand, Marcus. It wasn't a big deal."
It's not a big deal when there's no wreck.
When they keep going straight.
But when they both wreck, then it's a big deal.
Yeah.
In the meetings, does David go like this?
David really does what you're saying. He'll sit there and go. And then sometimes I'll say David, and he'll go.
So he wasn't acting on that commercial.
No,
that was David.
That's all day. He is so awesome. He just, loves to race a car. That's all he knows. And then he does a lot of hand signals like he'll do. M-Dub.
M-Dub.
What's
Gotcha. All right, lap 129. Kurt Busch breaks a water pump, and that ends a good run for him for the 2 car. Then caution out for debris. 41 laps from the end, everyone pits. The Geico greatest pit crew. We're going to give it to the 14 team. They beat the 99 of Carl Edwards off pit road. This will be the last pit stop for both Tony Stewart and Carl Edwards.
How key is that?
That's really key. Track position big.
Yeah, plus he got, the reason why he got that lead, it appeared to me, was because of his pit stall. He got to pick first because points set the starting field. He picked that in box. He was able to get rolling and across that line before Carl could get there, and wound up taking it all the way to the checker.
And Greg, we haven't mentioned yet, qualifying was rained out, so Tony would have started from the pole. Then he has the bad wreck in practice on Saturday, so he goes from first to worst to first, winning the race. I mean, on Saturday, he tore the whole front end of that car out.
Yeah, and I think 3 or 4 guys have done that this year.
4.
Yeah, and which is very unusual.
Yeah.
And that, you go to, and that's what gets on my nerves a little bit. You can't pass with these cars. Well, 4 people started dead last in 1. You can pass with these cars. They're fun to drive. Just keep reminding yourself of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, people. There you have it.
Put on your new car pants and walk down that road.
And walk down that path. All right, our Sprint Monster Mobile moment. 16 laps to go. You see Greg Biffle. He comes in. Mark Martin and Clint Boyer also in.
Now, Greg, explain to me the difference. You decided to split it in half, get 2 tires, and take 7-8 seconds for pitting instead of running down to like 2 or 3 laps to go and just getting a splash. What goes into that thought process?
Well, exactly, it's Irwin and the guys are talking about that. We picked up, with 2 tires, we picked up about a second a lap.
Yeah.
So it took us about 6 seconds longer to get those 2 tires, and there was 9 laps to go or so.
And the interesting thing, Steve, is if the caution flies, then he's sitting there with tires,
right?
And he can stay out on the racetrack. Whereas Tony, he would have had to stayed out, obviously, just with a couple laps to go. But he wouldn't have had tires, so the thing really got mixed up had there been a late caution.
Right.
Greg, how hard was it for Tony Stewart, knowing he had a comfortable, I think at one point, about a 4-second lead, but having to conserve fuel? I mean, you're in that box, you've got to, but it seems like it goes opposite what race car drivers do, which is to go fast.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the funnest races I had was 2 years ago at Sonoma. When we were shutting it off and coasting down the hill and then running again, and then, hardly gave it any gas, shifted really short.
It's a challenge.
It's a challenge. It's a different challenge. So even though it's racing, it's making it to the end.
Did you see the in-car from Tony? Go down the end of the front straightaway, push his kill switch, coast. You know, that's just all part of the game, just trying to figure out how to get there. And once it gets down to about 10 to go, you start believing.
Yeah.
Oh, I think it is really going to go all the way.
One of the reasons we love Greg Biffle, last year after Indy, he said, I get paid to race in tough conditions.
That's right.
That's right. And that's the way he feels about it.
Yeah. I love that.
He's not making that up.
No, you can't. You can't. When we come back, one team was talking about that triangular trophy before the race. You'll hear who it was, and radioactive, and some wild action on pit road during the nationwide race. Heads up, Brendan Gaughan. We'll be right back.
The smart move of the race has been presented by Castrol Edge. Think with your dipstick. Upgrade to new Castrol Edge Advanced Synthetic. Nothing offers better wear and protection. The Greatest Pit Crew has been presented by Geico, where 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. The Monster Moment has been brought to you by Sprint. For more NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, go to sprint.com/speed.
Todd Bodine will win at Texas again.
My friend Michael Waltrip did something dirty to me.
Double file restart shootout style.
Three-man free-for-all. Come on, someone, let's search for it. Look, that's a great place right over there. Ooh, everybody's going to get a piece of guitar tonight. Oh, yeah.
I'm into the murder and the others, but that's
Jimmy just said on national TV he's into murder.
Tony Stewart has won for the first time as an owner. He does so in Pocono.
And we go from Pocono to the Irish Hills of Michigan. You'll see NASCAR Race Day built by the Home Depot. Sunday morning coverage starting at 10:30 here on Speed. Well, just how nerve-wracking was it for Tony Stewart? Let's listen to his chatter on the radio in our radioactive feature.
Radio, check 1, 2. 10-4, got you. Check 1, 2. I got you there. You got me okay? Got a copy. 10-4.
This place is tough to figure out. What you do on pit road is very, very important, but try not to run out of gas, because if you do, you're not going to make it back around.
Welcome to Pocono, showing everybody what kind of a team we are. Going out there and getting that backup car, bring us home a little triangle trophy.
Getting ready to go 200 laps around this 2.5-mile track.
Quickly, one car is already off the pace. It's Jenny Hamlin going nowhere. Nothing. Clear out. All right. Go. Bad news. We are going to have the short pit, and we did not get you full. All right, 10-4. First 10. Boy, we could have done some drama here. Dig, boy, dig.
First down and away will be Tony Stewart.
Save fuel. Can we make it? We are really close. I'll take care of it.
Tony Stewart is turning the engine off halfway down the front stretch, and he's coasting the car to turn 1.
I hate this.
Carl Edwards running in the second spot, also conserving fuel.
All right, bud. Everybody's at least 3 laps short here. Everybody's at least 3 laps short. What do you want me to do? Because I can make it. You sure you can do 2 1/4 seconds, 2.2 laps on a 2.5-mile track? No, you said 3/4, buddy. Best case. Worst case is 2.2. Well, which is it? Best or worst? That's the issue we got. I have no idea. He's going to have to go longer than us. Everyone in front of us is going to have to go longer than us. 39 and 00. Push them both. Those are 2. He pushed them. Do not let him pedal, man. They're going to have to. They're trying to save. Don't let them. The 2 cars in front of you. Run them down. I want to save, bub. I want to go. I want to make it on fuel. You want to try to save the gas? Yeah, because those other guys might make it. Then we'll lose. All right, bud. You're going to have to save a lot for me. I'm backing it down. You got it full. It is full. You're going to make it. You got to save me some gas. Give me everything you can through the tunnel in 3. That way we can get our momentum up. Breathe easy, boys. We're going to make it.
The gamble just might pay off for Tony Stewart.
Here he comes for the first time as an owner-driver. Tony Stewart has won as an owner.
Good job, guys. God, I'm proud of you guys. You make me look like a damn genius in here. You are a genius, dude. We don't tell you how to save fuel.
Don't you love the scientific way Carl and those guys figured that out? What do you want to do? I don't know. What do you want to do? Can you save me that much? I don't know. You know, that's what it's all about, and it's so much arbitrary. You don't have a gas gauge. You don't know exactly what's going on, but you do know that if you shut your motor off and coast, or if you breathe the throttle halfway down the front straightaway so you don't turn those real high RPMs, you're going to get better gas mileage than you've gotten all day long. And every one of those cars had to get a little bit better than they've gotten all day long, and the drivers did their job, and they made it happen.
Or floated in, right, Greg?
That's right, floated in.
Floated in.
Don't use a lot of brake.
That's right. Well, the Camping World Truck Series teams were at the Texas Motor Speedway this past weekend. Friday night, Todd Bodine got his 17th career win, 5th in Texas.
We hear it now. The caution comes out for debris in turn number 1.
I can tell you Todd Bodine did not come back down pit road. They are good to go.
Adam, not only Todd Bodine in that 30 truck, but the 6 of Colin Brown. Those two guys are rolling the dice.
Breaking the bad luck streak that they've had in the 2009 season, Todd Bodine will win at Texas again. 5 times for Bodine.
Michael, I thought sure we'd get you a ride to Texas last week.
I appreciate you politicking for one. It didn't come together. Did you go, Greg?
No, I didn't.
Well, Michael will be in the booth Saturday at 1:30. The truck's in action from the Michigan International Speedway. Well, Kyle Busch got his 4th NASCAR Nationwide Series win of 2009 at the Nashville Superspeedway, leading 173 of 225 laps.
Here they come for the green flag in Nashville, Tennessee. Kyle Busch leads them down the back straightaway out of turn 2. Michael, big crash off turn 4. 4 or 5 cars involved out of turn 4.
See right here, Stenhouse gets loose off turn 4 and then stacks them up. See Keller nowhere to go. All these cars just victims of this. Here's Kevin Conway. We're riding with him, and oh, look what he looks at. Cars everywhere he slipped through. Ah, you got a little crash here, a little contact on pit road with Brendan Gaughan and Mark. I don't know where he's headed. He's headed to the garage.
Let's take a look at this one more time here, guys.
Yeah, Brendan Gaughan has his pit right past this opening, and Mark Davis was just trying to get to the garage area. Really caught Brendan by surprise.
Kyle Busch comes out of turn 4 and wins for the first time in Nashville, Tennessee.
Boy, he knows how to do those burnouts. He's got a lot of practice, though. Holy cow, I don't know what happened there.
That is cool. And listen to these fans, they love it.
Look at that, he caught the track on fire. Man, that's a burnout right there.
Let's see. Oh, he's going to do it. The guitar. That's a strong guitar.
I'll tell you what, that 18 team, they sure got it going in the Nationwide Series, but wouldn't it have been cool if he'd have broke it over the car?
Yeah.
You know, I want to see him smash it over top of the car.
You know, he's a rock star. We call him Superman, we call him rock star. What is a rock star going to do? He's going to bust his guitar, and now he's going to share it with the whole team. I have no problem with that whatsoever.
Now, if it was my guitar and I won it for a trophy, I wouldn't have broke it. I would have maybe got the entire team a smaller version or a version of that trophy,
maybe
but
get him
I don't know if I'd have broke it.
A ukulele?
Yeah. I got to get him a harmonica or something.
A little mandolin, maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think that I didn't see it as being disrespectful, though. He was just celebrating and proud to win. Heck, let's have a little fun.
Yeah.
All right. Well, when we come back, the drivers, do they love Michigan or hate Michigan? We'll find out. Plus, Michigan's a multi-groove track. Do you need to run high or low? We'll answer all those questions coming up here on Twin.
This week in NASCAR, Speed Network, Geico. Yeah, they sponsor it. Just watch it anyways. It's good.
How about that? Our very own caveman.
I like that.
That's nice.
I figured you'd be a little more excited about it.
Well, it kind of bummed me out because I've been begging them to let me dress up as a caveman and do the show and then do the whole show. And at the end, I look up and see that sign there, and I'm like,
just walk away.
Just leave.
Disgusted. Well, this weekend will be the 80th Cup race at the Michigan International Speedway. A commercial, Greg Biffle said, I love that place. Well, let's hear from some of the other drivers.
Michigan's probably one of my favorite tracks. You know, it's old, it's wore out. It has enough banking that you can carry good speed, and it's big enough, but you still slide around. You can run all the way on the bottom and all the way on the top, and I like that.
Qualifying, you can really get after the car. You got lots of grip for a lap with all the tape on the grill, tires pumped up. For the race, the pace really slows down. The tires wear out. You can slide around and run anywhere on the track, top, bottom, middle, everywhere in between.
I like it because you can race with 2 tires below the yellow line on the bottom of the racetrack, or your right rear quarter panel up against the wall.
Front stretch is a lot different than the back stretch. Turn 3 is a lot different than turn 1. But the biggest characteristic is very, very slick. Yes, 2 miles long. Yes, it looks like it has a lot of room. But on a Sunday afternoon on a hot day in Michigan can be one of the slickest racetracks we race at.
It's just a fun day of racing. You can go up high and run against the wall like the guys were saying, or cut to the very bottom, and you'll see people in the same car doing both things. You know, your car might work on the bottom a little while, and then you say, oh, darn, I guess I better go up there next to the wall. And you just have to drive your car, and that's what you love about this track. You can drive it anywhere, and so you have to adjust your line for what your car is asking for.
Yeah, and a lot of times your line is different from one end to the other. A lot of times you'll run the middle in turn 3 and 4, and you run the bottom in 1 and 2. So you can run 2 different lines, 2 different corners. Look at all the room, 3 wide. These cars just, you know, it's fun to race there. I don't hear anybody say the place isn't fun to race.
And if you flip on speed Friday for qualifying, over 210 miles an hour you're liable to see getting down in the corner. Can you imagine that with a big old car like we race?
Let's put on the double file restart pants and walk down that path. What will that be like at Michigan?
You know, it'll be fun at Michigan, double file restarts, and I think it'll be, you know, just more competitive up front. And I'm curious to see which lane. It proved to be the outside lane was a little bit better at Pocono. I'm curious to see at Michigan which one that's going to be.
Michael, how hard is Michigan on engines? I mean, you're not out of the gas that long. We talk about it being a big, wide, sweeping track. How tough is it on motors?
Well, with the new rules, with the gear rule that we run and whatnot, the engines aren't stressed as much as they used to be. Used to, we would gear our motors for that long, you know, that short back straightaway. We needed a lot of power down that short back straightaway, and that meant it turned too much on the front side. But now NASCAR kind of has you in a box where you can turn your engine. So while we will see some failures, you're gonna inevitably somewhere or another, or every now and then, it's not that big of a deal in my opinion.
Greg, I want to get back to just for a moment, the different lines. How aggressive do you have to be to find the fast way around the racetrack?
Well, really, it's what, you know, it's your car. I mean, where your car will handle. You know, sometimes you want to run the bottom, sometimes the middle, the top, and if you got a little breathing room behind you, you can try some different grooves. You know, you can try the bottom or middle, like I did at Pocono this weekend. You know, try and move up, and for sure that didn't work. So don't go there anymore. You know, you want to stay in the bottom, but. You know, the racetrack just offers so much. It's so raceable.
Well, coming up next, Carl Edwards flipped out at Michigan in the fall race back in August. We'll take a look back. Plus, fuel mileage is a critical calculation at MIS. We'll find out what the driver can do to help. This Week in NASCAR will be right back.
Detroit is Motown. It's the Motor City.
It is a beautiful day
here in the Irish Hills of Michigan.
These fans are ready to go for 400 miles.
And ready to see some great NASCAR racing action. 3 and 4 wide racing all afternoon.
200 laps on this 2-mile track.
What more could you ask for?
Here's a look at what we have for you in terms of coverage. Don't forget on Thursday, NASCAR Classics and the NASCAR Camping World Touring Series. Then on Friday, Michael, we go all in. Sprint Cup practice, qualifying, NASCAR Smarts, and trackside. And that's all on Friday. Well, David Pearson, the all-time winner at the Michigan International Speedway with 9 wins. Mark Martin has the most wins for an active full-time driver. He has 4. Greg Biffle has 2 wins. Last August, it was Carl Edwards in Victory Lane at Michigan.
There's no question a main theme of the day today will be the race to the chase. Drivers fighting for those precious spots in NASCAR's version of the playoffs.
As a fan, you get to sit back and watch these cats spread out 3, 4, sometimes 5 wide.
All right, Rod, we know you'll give 110%. We'll give 110% in here and work on it all day for you.
Fans on their feet, glad to have you with us as the green flag waves at Michigan.
Here we go. Here's Junior. Work on the right side of the lower grill, June Bug. Right side lower.
Some something's not agreeing with this 88 car right now. That's first to third in a lap and a half. The car wiggling around a lot.
I got a big problem. The 88 is obviously the fastest car we got up front, but the 99 is really the one that's coming fast. Yeah, it's just got to be a little bit tighter, Bob, especially on the throttle, just a little bit, and it'll go way faster. See about we'll fix you up.
The 99 car Edwards who started back in 27th spot.
Check out Edwards. He had a good corner right there.
More consistent loose entry to exit, but I still have it all the way through the turn. Try to keep those guys up there, but we don't want to get too many ahead of us, otherwise we'll be in bigger trouble than we could imagine. There is no give up in me. I'm just telling you what this thing's doing. We're very cranky this weekend. I'm being pitched at every 5 seconds, so sideways. It looks like you're clean there. Just give it a little time. Try to get her cool back off. It's too loose. Good boy. Y'all need to get on that, brother. Serious, man. It's the crows, man.
And here comes guess who again? Kyle Busch. That would be for 4th position.
Hold up, wait for Kyle to play around with a little bit. We'll do that and end up wrecking each other, and that's the last thing we need to do. 4190 to his 4280. Set of tires sucks. Alright, bud, just ride this out. I know it's loose. I saw that save on TV.
And Edwards just pulls away. And for the second time in 2008, a driver sweeps both events. Carl Edwards will win it Saturday and Sunday at Michigan.
Good job, buddy. Awesome day, boys. Awesome job, Carl.
Well, that gets me excited for this weekend. I sure love Michigan. It puts on such great racing. The thing that we forgot about was paper on the grill. It's a big deal at these 2-mile racetracks, and it'll change the handling. Dale Jr. got very loose with that paper on the grill, and that'll change the way your car handles. Hopefully find a friend and get that piece of paper blown off the front.
Michael, we talk about all the time when we go there about how the proximity to Detroit, where the automakers are, is it still a big deal to win at Michigan?
Oh, it certainly is. And, you know, if you race a Chevy, a Ford, a Dodge, or a Toyota, you want to have success in Michigan. And, you know, that's what's so great about our sport. All 4 manufacturers, they need each other in the race in order to appreciate, you know, to be able to enjoy being in the sport. So whether you race a Toyota like me or a Ford like Greg, we both need the other guy out there. And I think everybody really appreciates the fact that the manufacturers have made a commitment to NASCAR, even through these really tough and trying times, to stay with NASCAR. I read somewhere that you can't save time by stopping the clock, and you can't save money by not advertising. You know, you have to advertise so that people know you got a product, and NASCAR is a great way for the car manufacturers, obviously, to advertise.
And we certainly hope the automakers come through this well. Let's talk about fuel mileage. Certainly Sunday at Pocono, we talked about that moments ago. It could be the same thing again this week. Of course, we could say that about every week, but it is important at Michigan.
It's very important. You get to these big racetracks, and even places you don't think fuel mileage is a factor, it is. And Michigan can definitely be a fuel mileage race, setting up for 2 pit stops at the end, or can you make it? You know, like Dale Jr. made it here. I mean, there's a lot of things that can go on during a race, but fuel mileage is always one.
Do you ever figure how hard it had to, everything that had to work out for yesterday to be a fuel mileage race? There was a debris caution right where no one could make it. Then there came a rain shower, and we rode underneath caution for a while. Then a lot of people started thinking we can make it. So we say Michigan could be a fuel mileage race. Used to, we could go about 100 miles on our tank of fuel, and that made it a fuel mileage race. Now we can't go that far, but it seems like inevitably there's going to be a caution that makes it just on the edge of being able to make it or not.
Yep.
Well, Cale Yarborough won the very first Michigan race in 1969. Let's take a look at the most current 10 winners at the 2-mile Michigan International Speedway. Roush Fenway drivers.
Yeah, we've had a lot of success at that racetrack. We run very well there. So does Hendricks, but they, you know, doesn't have a lot of wins up there, but they run very well there as well.
All right, when we come back on This Week in NASCAR, what the heck is that machine? Well, it's located in many of the team shops, and we'll tell you what it is in our email segment. Stay with us. This Week in NASCAR is brought to you by Geico. Time now for our Z-Max Fuel for Thought email segment. Our first question is, quite simply, what is a 7-post machine? Michael, that's something we hear a lot about.
Yeah, the teams map their cars at the track. They understand where the bumps are in the turns, and so they take that map and they plug it into the computer, and the computer simulates what a car going around the track looks like. And you have to balance the aero with the mechanical, but it gives you a real good idea of what exactly the car is going through down in the turns. And what I love about them, Steve, is look at MWR. We don't test anymore. We were an average team in 2008. We've stepped it up to above average team in 2009 without testing at all. So obviously we were spending a lot of money testing our cars and wasting a lot of time testing our cars when it isn't necessary. Those machines are located prevalently around the area. You can go test them anytime you like. It's much less expensive to do so, and I think that it's great that we don't test our cars and we just do it with simulation and with the 7-post.
And that is not an anomaly.
No, and I didn't say that word right either. I stumbled right through it.
You did wonderful.
How do you say it? Prevalently?
Prevalently.
Yeah.
All right, Biff, how much does tire pressure build up during a run? That is a important question.
Yeah, it's really important. It depends, obviously left to right, but normally a right front tire will gain 25 pounds of pressure on average, depending on where we're at. But, and then the left sides will gain about 15 pounds of pressure. So the tires really expand when they get hot, and that's why we want to start them as low as possible to keep the grip in the tire.
Hearing a lot of drivers now ask about just like, I want 0.3 of a pound, small changes.
Isn't it crazy? And the reason why, I listened to what Greg said earlier, a little piece of paper. The balance is so crucial to have it just like you want it. You get a piece of paper on the grill, and so the driver says he wants 0.3 of a pound of air. He thinks he knows exactly what he's talking about, and the crews are adjusting them to that's minor adjustments.
Our third email question. I know most drivers stay in their motor coaches, but where does the crew stay on a weekend on the road?
We always stay at MWR at the nearest Best Western. They like to put a nice head in a bed, and we go to Best Western and stay there.
I have coffee with those boys quite often.
Aren't they cool?
Early in the morning.
You're staying at the Best Western, too.
I stay where the crew stay.
That's right.
Hey, next week, the Chadster, Chad Knaus, will be with us, and Michael, here in the studio. That's Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. Join us with the Cavemen.
This Week in NASCAR is presented by Geico, where 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Glad you're back with us. Last week we asked MW over there if he'd driven a Ferrari. Same question for you, Greg. Have you driven? I know you got a tricked out drag car. Have you driven a Ferrari?
No, I haven't driven a Ferrari. Nope, I don't have that much money.
That surprises me.
I got a friend that's got a lot of money. I drove his Ferrari.
Did you?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
all right.
Maybe someday.
Check this out, boys. Tonight, Tanner Faust will take you inside a $300,000 Ferrari on Supercars Exposed. He'll cruise the Autobahn at 200 miles an hour with a blonde supermodel. Watch Tanner right here when he shuts the door. He says, wow. What's not to like about that? Journey into the super sexy, exotic, and unbelievable scene of high dollar and exotic automobiles. Supercars Exposed. That's coming up here on Speed. Another reminder to get the picture of the week from Tony Stewart at Pocono. To enter the picture of the week giveaway, go to speedtv.com, click the show's tab at the top, go to the This Week in NASCAR page. You'll see a link at the bottom to email us, put 14 in the subject line, and there you are. You're entered to win. Be sure to put your shipping address. The winner will be revealed next week. The Jimmy Johnson picture went to Raleigh, North Carolina.
You're like a machine, Steve.
That's how we do it.
You just start saying all that stuff, and it just comes out, and you don't stumble one time.
We get all fizzed up.
Yeah.
Speaking of fizzed up, you have to be pretty happy about going to Michigan.
I am. I love that place. We run good there every time. And I was really nervous about Pocono. We had a great run at Pocono. I'm looking forward to Michigan. And, man, I want to crack that first win of the season. We've been so close. Our team's been doing such a great job. I'm proud of the guys. We just keep working at it.
And don't forget the radio show at Greg
9 o'clock
Biffle.
tonight.
That's
GregBiffle.com.
Michael Watcher, what's shaking in your world? Are you going to go golf with celebrities? Or?
I just wondered how you was getting to Michigan, Greg. I've been having a little bit of trouble with the plane. I thought maybe I'd see if I could catch a ride.
Come on. We're going to Ford first, so.
I'll stop at Toyota. Hey, listen, congratulations to Ryan Truex, our Camping World East development driver, who won up at Watkins Glen this weekend, and to Trevor Bain, who sat on the outside pole at Nashville in his second nationwide race ever. 18 years old. A couple of kids doing some good jobs for us at MWR.
Y'all got it going on. Driver development.
It's going